Welcome to The Smart Athlete. Insightful conversations with some of the smartest athletes, coaches, and trainers around the world. In these conversations, we hear future goals, daily habits, and the nuanced steps of the athlete en route to successful craft, all hosted by Britt Smart.
In this episode, we catch up with WNBL Champion and 3x3 player Maddie Garrick. We dive into the mind of what's pulled her through some adversity, how a change can do you good, and how she took ownership of her life and career.
This podcast is sponsored by Big Dog, a locally owned clothing label specializing in lifestyle and sporting wear, because big dogs do it better. To find out more about Big Dog, go to bigdog.com.au.
And welcome to the Britt Smart Show.
This is the Britt Smart Show. It's all about me, aka the Smart Athlete podcast.
Well, it's the Smerrick athlete at the moment.
Oh yeah, Smerrick. That was like our couple name.
I know, it was iconic.
Smerrick. We played 3 years together. This is Maddie Garrick, by the way, if you don't know, but I'm sure you guys do all know. What's up?
What's
hey,
up?
Is
What do?
Connection good at the moment?
Is that me?
Your internet connection kind of went down.
That's hotel quarantine for you. I'm just on the standard, the Wi-Fi.
Do you hear a slight humming? No? Is that just me?
Wait, it could be this. Hang on, wait. Is that better?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. But thanks for whatever you just did.
I didn't do anything. I just walked away. No, I'm just kidding. We've got an air purifier in the room and I turned it up a little bit.
It has been fine this whole time chatting before, and all of a sudden...
Maybe it's the recording.
Why would that change, though? Oh, this is not the Smart Athlete podcast for IT. This is definitely Smart Athlete for basketball.
Oh, shit. That's funny.
Anyways, thanks for coming on, Mads.
Hey, no worries. So you've only been trying to get me for like, how many years now?
Well, I know, but I was probably put on a waiting list because you seem pretty popular these days.
Look, I'm so busy.
Finally made it to the top only because you're in lockdown quarantine. And that's really, even though I was your teammate and roommate for 3 years, we were the Smerrick sisters.
Then you left. You broke up the gang. So maybe that's, finally forgiven you.
Speaking of which, we're just going to go right into it. I left the Boomers 3 years ago.
Yep.
You have now made a change for WNBL after Boomers for how many years? Tell me about this.
6 years. Wow. Yeah, changing it up. I think after a while of doing something the same way, you can kind of get a little bit complacent, and thoughts around the way that you play and your role and stuff can change. But I just think that it was time for me to kind of just really do something, different environment, different voices, different teammates, and just different opportunities that I can just hopefully release the most out of me for this part of my career. So that's there's a lot of things that went into it.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to tell me all the dirty details, though. If there's anything you want to share, this is a safe platform.
I'll text you later.
Yeah, okay, great. But I do love challenges. Staying on a team for a while can be great. And you do have new teammates and stuff that come along the way. You might have a new coach and stuff. But sometimes it is just the change of location, a new challenge. Can you find your role and still be effective, whether it's the same or different when you go to a new team? Like, that's always kind of exciting, going on a new adventure. And you're going to Bendigo, right?
Yeah. Back to Bendigo.
So you were there when you first started playing in WNBL, right? For 2 or 3 seasons, and you're WNBL champ already.
I'm a 2-time champ.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. What up? So I started there because I'm from Shepparton, so it was the closest WNBL team to me, and being a country girl, it was easiest to go there. So I started training with the Spirit when I was 16, Then I went to the AIS for 2 years, and then I came back and was at Bendigo for 3 years, and I've been at Melbourne since.
Jeez.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But regardless of all that, and people think, you know, oh, I'm going back to Bendigo, like I'm going back home. It's not actually necessarily that. It's just the fact that I think that team and the role that I hope to play there and the team they're putting together was the best opportunity for basketball, but, you know, life in general. And but going on off your point about like your new environment and challenging yourself and stuff, I went to Turkey in 2019 just for a short-term stint, and that was the best thing that I ever did. It was like the scariest thing. I remember my agent at the time called me and is like, hey, I might have a deal for you. He's like, what are you doing? How's your body? And I was like, oh, I haven't played in like 3 weeks, but I'm at the gym, like it's fine. He's like, I might have a deal for you in Turkey. And I was like, oh, cool. When? He's like, oh, well, if you sign today, you'll be on a plane in 2 days. Do you want to do it? Yeah. And I was like, the first thing, he's like, how do you feel? And I was like, nervous. That was the first thing that I said to him. Like I was petrified because I'm so used to like cycle and whatever. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah. I was just at a point in my life. I was like, I just need to do something different. Like just get out of here. Go somewhere no one knows me. Start again. Restart my mindset. Just finally work on myself for a little bit. And it was the best thing I ever did. So I'm kind of seeing this Bendigo opportunity as the same thing, even though it's in a league I've been playing in for a while. So that's how I'm, going into it. And I'm like super excited about it.
How did you do over there in Turkey? What was the main takeaway, maybe one on the court, one off the court, from going to Europe and changing it up for reals?
I think, as I said, I was just stuck in a cycle, probably more personally, like just in a shitty cycle, how I was feeling about myself and some personal stuff going on. And I was like, I need to escape. Like I need to, and for years and years, like I'd been working for like with the psych and the sports psych and stuff. And like, you gotta change your mindset and do all this. And I was like, yeah. But like, you know, you got to practice doing meditation and practice thinking this way. And it's just always, that self-care stuff's always something that you're like, yeah, I'll do it. It sounds, you know, what you should do and sounds easy, but it's the first thing that you get rid of. It's like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do this meditation, or like I'll read this book tomorrow. And so when I was in Turkey, I didn't have a car. I didn't know anywhere. It was at a time where like there was a bit of angst between like Australia and Turkey, and people were like, don't go anywhere like without someone, especially if you don't know the area. Yeah. And I lived out of the city, like half an hour out of the city. So I was literally in my hotel room most of the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to start reading books. I'm going to start watching podcasts, watching Netflix documentaries, all this sort of stuff. And that's when it was the first time I actually changed my mindset, like, and put it into practice. Yep. And you know what it's like in Europe, like you can play so many minutes one game and then you might not play the next game. Like it's just so cutthroat. So this and that. And it was my coach's first year in the league, and even my teammate was like, man, you need to be playing more even though you just got here and all that. And so I was asking her questions, and she was all about mindset. She was amazing. She Elizabeth Williams, she plays in the WNBA. And just learning from her, I was like, this is what's going on. Like, I just want to learn. It's, you know, can it help me? Blah, blah, blah. And I just started doing all this stuff. Like I finally did it. Like I was meditating every day, maybe twice a day, reading self-help books, listening to Brene Brown, Oprah, all these other people. Yeah. And it was like the first time that I was like, oh my God, it was the first time I actually understood what practicing gratitude was like and how it can actually help. And so I played in obviously the Turkish league, and we made it to the semi-finals, and leading up to I think in the quarterfinals or whatever, I'd played a few minutes, a handful of minutes in the first game, didn't play second game, and then third game, one of our main players, we had foul trouble. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get on, like pressure, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for being here. Like, it's just so great. And then he had to put me on with like 5 minutes to go. It was like neck for neck, like, you know, And I got like this game-winning steal and like did all this stuff. So instead of being like, don't mess up, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for being here. Like, you know, whatever happens. And then we ended up going to the semifinals and same thing. Then I started playing, I went from like a couple of minutes here and there, also none, to 18 minutes, 20 minutes in a semifinal.
Yeah,
crazy. So you just have, and it was, again, the first time, because obviously being WNBL, I've worked my way up over years to be a starter, play a bigger role. Then you go over to somewhere in Europe, amazing talent, incredible talent, and then you're just someone else. You got to work your way up, but at the back end of the season. So it's like, and so it went from, there's no minutes to little, to getting one steal in an important time because I was in the right headspace, to playing 18, 20, 25 minutes the next game. Crazy.
That's great. Yeah. But I mean, it just goes to show though that you can be grateful for being there, but that doesn't mean you have to be satisfied. You know, like, if I'm grateful for my role, then that means that I must not really want more than that, and I'm fine with that. No, you don't have to be fine with it. You can be grateful that you have the opportunity, but don't ever be satisfied, or else you will stay in that role, or, you know.
Absolutely. I think it just helps staying in the positive mindset rather than being like, oh, I'm not playing, like, I'm grateful, but like, I didn't play as much, and then you get that negative kind of mindset. But if you stay grateful and like, I'm so grateful for being here, but I want to work harder. I want to be like, I can give more out. Then you're like, you have that hunger rather than that kind of negative, like, probably not going to play. And then once you have that negative mindset, you start focusing even subconsciously on negative things. So negative things will happen.
Yeah, because it's not that you can manifest everything, but it does if you do have a right mindset around things. But I do think if athletes have the opportunity to go play in either different states, different leagues, different countries, I just think that that's so important. Unless you're one of the top dogs like, you know, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, whatever. You come in and you have to prove yourself every single year.
Yeah.
Like every time I went to Europe, I had to prove myself. You know, any country, all the 4 teams I played over there, coming here to Australia, no one knows me again. I have to start in CBL or NBL 1, and then I have to prove, someone went down, so that's how I got in. Did they really recruit me because of my skill? I don't know.
Yeah.
But here I go again. And it just goes to show, wow, here's an opportunity. You're ready to take it. But I can see why, especially in a small country, in a small league, you know, there is a lot of pressure and expectations because your names are here or known at the age of 13 or 14. And then some people get contracts because of their names. But then when you go to Europe, it's like, it's basically it's all skill, because I really have to prove myself. And then sometimes the big names reach their potential. Sometimes they don't. But then when they go away and come back, it's like, I'm trying to think of all these players that have gone away and come back just in the Australian League, and they come back so much better.
Oh my God,
because then they kind of realize they don't take things for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just trying to have to prove themselves overseas, they've had to work harder. It's a different, like being different league, different countries play different styles. So it just expands their games on so many different levels.
That's one of like the 3 things that, you know, that I've kind of built my coaching business on, but it really came from my own experience, was just pain-free versatility in the name of longevity, you know? So it's kind of like, and it's different because I haven't grown up playing here, but if I played all of my professional years here, I think people would probably kind of see, you know, it's hard being an import because you can't, it's hard to build a brand for yourself or something because you're constantly, you know, changing. But versatility is something that I've tried to coach with all of my players, and I've prided myself on, is just, I don't have to be the go-to scorer every time. A lot of the times I have been, but am I still able to play and be so good that I have to be played even if I'm not shooting well? Or, you know, like, you know, if that's what's cool about basketball, is like there's so many facets of the game, and are you versatile in all of those games in multiple leagues, multiple countries, and multiple teams? And I think,
well, I think even just the way that the game's changing now too. Like you've got young athletes who are, you know, point guards at 6'4", you know, or you've got like, for example, like a Kevin Durant. He's 7 foot, but he has the skills of a Steph Curry, you know. Well, I mean, Steph Curry is another level, but you have to be able to possess those skills. But you're totally right, and I think that's something that sometimes we can struggle with here, because it's always, I feel like sometimes people, even from the outside world, from basketball, it's like, if you score the most, you're the best player. Like, you'll get contracts and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, scoring's a thing, but like, what else do you bring to the team? You can be successful in a team, regardless of like the stat sheet. And I think, you know, that's also another reason why I moved clubs too, because the last couple of years, I haven't had great shooting seasons, and I'm recruited as a shooter. Like, and so I think sometimes, you know, like I came off a ankle rehab, Rico. After COVID. So I didn't play 9 months. So then people are like, this is my shooting percentage. Like, I expected it not to be like my top form, because I didn't have runs behind me. But so then I was like, I have to be good somewhere else. And I was on the defensive end, but you know, it's not showing on a stat sheet, like a defensive assist or like, you know, bringing the energy, a deflection, stuff like that. So as long as you kind of know that what you can bring, but that versatility is so important. Because I had, you know, one of my assistant coaches saying, or even my coach say that, like, we need to keep you out on the floor because you're one of the best defenders. Yeah. Even though, you know, there's other people who be like, oh, you know, Tego, she's having a terrible one because she's only shot 2 points. Like, no, I'm here for the game. Like, shooting points, amazing. You feel so good about yourself, but when it doesn't work, it's again that mindset change. Like, hey, what else can I do to help the team succeed?
Thanks to KidsViz for sponsoring today's podcast. KidsViz offers a range of sports and PE-based programs delivered both in person and virtually. To find out more, head to kidsviz.com.au.
Yeah, I mean, the name of the game is to whoever scores the most wins.
Yeah,
and you know, the only thing that you see on the scoreboard is the score. So right. I mean, we get it, like we get to the point. But someone can't score without probably 2 to 3 steps of what happens before that. Yeah. And really, the only people that really understand, like, know the game or understand it, they will understand that concept and things like that. But it is hard if you do grow up scoring and you're the scorer and the shooter, that if you don't score, it is hard to handle that. And that's why that versatility thing is like something that I really want to put into all of my programs, and something that's just kind of a simple, easy step to kind of follow. And then, not that this podcast is about me, but so
it's pretty smart.
The 3 pillars is like versatility, but it has to be pain-free versatility, strength and conditioning stuff in full range, knees over toes, flexibility, you know, all these things I think can be really missed in modern strength and conditioning. You know, you only do like 3/4 squats, don't have your knees over toe, but then every time I shoot a 3-point shot, my knees go over my toe. Very interesting, you know. So
the knee goes in, you know.
Yeah, like debunk some things.
Yeah, I got the biggest stanky knee when it comes to shooting. I was like, it feels like it's straight, but then when you look at it, it's like, well, actually, there's a bit of knee valgus in a lot of people's shot.
Yeah, and why not just get good in certain positions? Maybe not in extreme positions, but at least going forward with the knee over the toe. Okay, well, let's get really good at that. Then if my knee does go in, maybe I don't do that necessarily in training, but I'm strengthening that VMO to make sure it can handle a force
if something happens. Yeah, for sure.
Like that. And you and I have been through, I think I wouldn't have gotten to this part of programming sport-specific, basketball-specific strength, which really a lot of it goes against so many strength and conditioning coaches these days that it's kind of like, I'm not saying there's not a place for half movements or short range movements. You know, you need to match the short range with the long range. And I just feel like we train muscles in a short range, and you're only as strong in the range that you train. So if you only train your joints this way instead of all the way, well, you're only going to be strong there. What happens when this happens? Well, that's scary, you know. And we've had kind of those situations with injuries and things like that. But how do you try and stay pain-free when you play? What does your off the court stuff kind of look like? And it might change when you're in season when you're in 3x3 stuff, which we'll talk about a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the rough patches, what you've learned, and kind of what you think might look like your off-season training here leading up to WNBL here. Now that we have a few months off. I know it's kind of a broad question, so you can kind of take that where you lead. But how are you trying to stay pain-free? Not that we can't limit all injuries, but
yeah. I think the first one is to build up that strength. So the stuff that we're talking about, working on, you do need to work on your muscle strength. That's absolutely one thing. So like, you're not saying that don't build up your strength, like put your tendons in that position and don't work muscle strength. No, you absolutely need your muscles. Like you need your muscles for explosiveness, for, being able to hold yourself. So for me, that's been a big thing because I'm obviously a pretty lean frame. So that's always a big thing. And even just from a mental point of view, if I feel strong, then I play strong as well.
Yep.
But for me now, my biggest issues at the moment, which have kind of been a little bit ongoing, has to do with my Achilles. I had, as I said before, I had a full ankle reco and a scope at the front of my ankle for some bone spurring. This time last year, actually. About a year ago.
I was going to say that.
And so before that, I was having issues with my ankle because it was so unstable that like all my structures around my ankle and my lower limb were working overtime. So chronic tightness, which was causing like knee pain, hip pain, because I was trying to get like my movement and my strength from other areas. Because as much as it's like unstable, it was like stiff at the same time because everything was just constantly like in contraction. Which caused, a lot of issues. So that was annoying. And I'd roll my ankle all the time because I literally had no ligaments left. So then I was like,
that in Boomers with you saying that.
So I'd had to tape and brace. And if I rolled my ankle, it wasn't just like a ligament. It was like a bone bruising, which takes longer to heal with, poor blood supply and all that sort of stuff. So then, we had COVID and I was like, you know what, there's no basketball on. I'm probably going to be pushing it to get back for WNBL season, but I think in terms of longevity for my career, and like my Achilles were already sore at that time. And because of the stiffness, I wasn't getting proper dorsiflexion. So obviously that movement, like when you go into, if that's your ankle joint, like trying to get that more of that movement. So when I was shooting, I started shooting like from my shoulders. So changed my shot a little bit because I couldn't get that depth and that power from my legs.
Well, your knee couldn't go over your toe.
My knee could not go. Exactly. That's exactly what was going on. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get it done. I think I need to get it done at some point in my career. I may as well do it now while there's no basketball on. Mm-hmm. But I did take the chance that I probably wasn't going to have the best recovery. Or like the best season in terms of performance because I would be pushing it back. So pretty much the first time I ran in the full court since the season before was 2 days before our first game in the hub. So I went from nothing for like 8-9 months to a game every second day. So for tendons, like any tendons, and my Achilles had always been an issue already, they hate increases in load. So I went from, as I said, nothing to like everything in a short amount of time. So they just thickened up. So I've got degenerative, it sounds pretty crazy, degenerative Achilles tendinopathy. So not tendonitis, tendinopathy. So basically what that is like you get scarring on your Achilles because of dead cells or whatever. But then the tendons try to build new cells. So they're just layers on top. So that's when you get that. So you can actually see in my Achilles, I've actually got these little lumps where it is. It's very localized. So painful. So for me, it's been a lot about building up my calf strength, doing a lot of isometrics. And I just kind of reached out to you in the last few days about what else can you do for Achilles? Because that's the biggest thing. And for me, like the struggles are I'm not as explosive as I used to be. Even though I still look fine, I still can do everything. I'm just like, I'm in pain all the time. So I've tried
it's
shockwave.
Harder. You're less efficient. That's the thing.
Less
You're
efficient.
Probably less efficient. More energy put into it. And that's when, if that goes on for too long, then that would become a problem. And I think that's kind of like we had talked about before. You might look the same, but it maybe it actually looks a bit harder, feels harder. You're less efficient, and then the wear and tear catches up. But
But just doing like a lot of rehab stuff, like we've got a physio with us at the moment. I talked to her about what can I do for my Achilles. Like I'm throwing everything. I tried Shockwave. I'm doing this. I've got anti-inflammatories. I'm, doing everything, reaching out to you, and it's actually improving. So, and it's it was improving in a season, which is kind of hard to do. Sorry, I don't know if you can see me. I just had someone call me. Oh no, where have you gone? Chrome. There we go.
Oh, geez. Popular. Got pushed back again.
It's just a partner. It's just my girlfriend.
I've always been pushed to the side, a big underdog. Got to keep it on the chain all the time.
But other than that, just strength work, a lot of prehab stuff. But yeah, just stuff we're doing in the gym. Like I've seen improvements again, like during a season, building up strength, which is unheard of for me because usually in season, like you're just maintaining, whereas off season, which is what we're in now, and now that we just had the Olympic qualifiers with 3x3 and didn't quite make it. So now I'm like, when I get out of hotel quarantine, it's just going to be like proper off season, like heavy, intense, high set stuff. So I could just, put on a little bit more muscle, but I really want to work on my flexibility and mobility in those ranges we were talking about.
Well, I'm thinking though too, is like, because I know that you have, and especially a lot of pro athletes have other programs and coaches. And that's why I love, like I have 3 levels of strengths, a starter, elite, and MVP.
Yeah.
But they're all things that can be done. And Sammy Wickham did it for her last WNBL season in Seattle. She just did like 3 or 4 main exercises because she had Achilles problems.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just need a couple here that will still supplement and fit in with what you're doing with the team. Because a lot of times you're required to do it with the team. It depends what kind of relationship you have with your squad, also the background and knowledge and how old, the players are and things like that. Like I've been lucky that, especially in Canberra, they really put a lot of respect and a lot of trust in their athletes, and they understand kind of what I do on the side and what I study and all that stuff. So I was able to do my own program during it. But, and I think that's the main thing too, is that the programs I have are so pliable. And, even Alice Koenig was doing it while she was overseas. Just being able to have those 2 or 3 main exercises that give you confidence to know that you're doing these things when you go into a game, that you've done what you could to lessen the risk of pain, injury, things like that.
For sure.
So whenever you get out of quarantine, maybe just doing 2 or 3 little things that you don't have to change your routine and your game plan for the off season, but let's just see and supplement, and then see what your physios say, see what they think. I know it's a little bit out of the box thinking maybe for some, but I've been on it for a year and a half, and I'm 36, and I honestly I'm not in season right now, but got through a pretty hefty, hub season with Melbourne COVID preseason, so basically none. Anyways, but doing things like that, like seated calf raises and all those things, which sounds so simple, but there's like a ground up protocol that I think really works. It's like an every other day kind of thing that you do for just like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And then you can kind of make it less or whatever. But anyways.
I will say that, just off the back of that, I will say the seated calf raises have been the biggest improvement in how my Achilles are feeling. Because you can do your raises, you can do ISOs. We've just added in slow, heavy ISO, so changing up the tempo and the weight as well. And you can get so much more weight seated than you can standing and that. So they've been the biggest helper in trying to help these Achilles.
If you want to learn more about becoming the all-around smart athlete, go to besmartbasketball.com and start building your game and your body from the bottom to the top.
Well, it's full range of the joint, and you're sitting down, so that's obviously going to target soleus a bit more and Achilles. Yeah. And it's massive knee over toe situation. And then you're looking at the lower leg. And that's exactly how your back leg looks when you make your first step in a basketball move. I mean, that's exactly how it looks. So like being in a controlled environment and training it that way, is good. And then I have these things called like also like rhythm squats, which is like elasticity training before you actually go and jump and take your own body weight. Ask your physio that. You have to see that, that's so much posterior training. Why don't we train the front?
Yeah. Well, I do a couple of those ones. Like the seated again, like leg very isolated. Like your leg over a bench, and you got your band here, and doing the front and the sides. Like it's the same. It's with anything. You're not just going to do like your quads and then your hamstrings a week. That's when you get ACL injuries or hammy tears or whatever. So you always have to balance it up between the two. Make sure it's even on both sides. Yeah.
So we've kind of gone through, you need to be versatile to be successful or to be a smart athlete. You need to be pain-free as much as possible. And, even though I look at my past and sometimes I get angry with some of the things that either strength conditioning coaches told me or doctors have told me or whatever, and they say I can't do this, or, when I have my ACL surgery, I may never get full extension or full flexion of the knee, but it'll be good enough. Like, well, why can't I get that back? Yeah. Why can't I got to hit a hamstring graft? They hit a nerve, so you probably just won't get that back. They gave me no protocol to learn how to gain, strength back because I didn't know. Literally just didn't know. It wasn't backed by science. Well, what about scientific evidence? Like just looking at someone, that works. That's success right there. Yeah. You're going to wait. You know that works, but you're going to wait 20 years for it to get into a textbook. Right. To then learn it at school. But you're like, but that works. Or when I see all these basketball players play, if you're looking at Michael Jordan or whoever, like, geez, look how much his ankle's inversion of his knees all the way on the outside of his ankle, yet he still was able to not get injured in that way. Interesting. Yes. The best are doing things differently in regards to, not that we're going to be the best of the best or Michael Jordan, but why not try and get to what they're doing to at least reach whatever your potential is.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of things that are kind of like right in front, or like, not to curl your spine, or, everything has to stay straight. But when I pick up a basketball and I have someone on me, I can't keep I dare you to pick up a pencil without bending your spine or letting your knee go over your toe. Those are the two main rules in weight rooms that you're never supposed to do.
I'm also not flexible. I'm also not flexible enough to do that.
Well, flexibility makes you weak, so you can't stretch. So you're stiff as a board. No knees over toes, and don't bend your side. Now pick that pencil up, Maddie. If you can send me a video, and seriously, put it
girl,
on Instagram.
It's gonna get some hits.
Smart challenge.
It's gonna go viral.
I know.
I'll be picking it out with the toe. Just curling the toe, but I wouldn't be able to reach my feet.
Yeah, don't bend your spine, though. You can do that, but don't bend your spine. I'm actually being serious, Maddie. Please do the Be Smart Pencil Challenge.
All right, so I can't bend my spine, and I got to keep straight legs.
No knee over toe. They can bend, they just can't go over your toe.
Yeah, well, naturally they usually go over toes, so...
Also, it's like no knees over toes, but every time that we walk up and down stairs, our knees go over your toes. That's the next challenge. Go ahead and walk up and down stairs when you get out of lockdown, but don't let your knee go over your toe.
I struggle enough as it is. I've got a straight leg like after leg day with Bruce. I slide down.
Yeah, you would slide down.
Pull myself up.
I've seen those videos. You get your cardboard out.
Yeah, straight down.
Oh, gosh. Anyways, longevity. So that's another thing. So if pain-free or injured, if you're not pain-free and injured, you're usually, people stop playing. That's one reason people stop playing.
Yep.
But we've provided a solution for that with the program. Be Smart Baller, Be Smart Strength. Be Smart Flexibility is coming out. Hey. And then the next one, I didn't really mean for this conversation to go this way, but it's provided some good
That's what happens with
conversation.
Us. It's like we used to room together, right? On road trips. And we're like, okay, Britt, I'm going to have an early night tonight. Like, I'm going to bed. And then one of us would say something. And then it would just go from here to like over here. And then it'd be like 2 a.m. And you're like, oh God, we have a game tomorrow. Like, I'm just probably go to bed.
Deep down.
Yeah, like we solved all the problems of the world and the universe in those talks. Like they were deep. It was nice.
And that's what we're doing now. We're providing a solution for people who are in pain that modern science books are not giving them.
I'm just saying, like, people are missing out.
The magic happens when we're together. Smerrick. So pain-free. And then versatility. If you're not versatile and you're just in a box, you're probably not going to be playing for very long. You're not going to get a contract because you don't fit into many teams, right?
Exactly.
So we've covered that, making people versatile. Rim finishes, left hand, right hand, off hand, one leg jump, left hand jump. You know, being able to do things equally on both sides. Yeah, and now, like, just doing some work with, a few other coaches, same hand, same foot finishes. You see the guys in the NBA now, not the typical kind of runners, but like actual shooting, like same hand, same leg. They say it's like unconventional, but is it a bad shot? No, it's a good shot. No, but it's just unconventional. And that's what I mean. If we always just waited and said basketball had to be played a certain way, we'd still have 3 out, two post players. It'd still be like this. Offense, defense. It'd turn into netball. Basically. And nothing against netball. Everyone just calm down. Oh my God, yeah, absolutely not. Also, the super netball, oh wow. Amazing. They're athletes. They are great, and I respect the sport, but we're talking about ballers here. Yeah, we're talking about basketball. Yeah. And then the next, and this is another one of my goals with the program, but these are all goals that I had as a little kid. You know, like I want to play basketball for a long time and lots of teams at a high level. So the last thing is pain-free versatility in the name of longevity. So I'm 36. I feel sprightly. 36. Yeah. Can you believe it? It's shocking. Are you writing that down? I look good at 36. Quote. M. Garrick. I am. But longevity, what? Go on. Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, like, as a kid, and I think kids now, they're like, what are you going to do when you're older? What do you want to be when you're older? I want to be a basketball player. I want to be an athlete. You think as a kid you're going to do that for your entire life. Like, that's all you're going to do. Where in reality, like your career, and I guess I've just only worked this out now, becoming towards the years of 30. Yeah. It's only this much of your life that you're playing, and you think it's going to be like this whole part of your life. No, it's only this much. So you want to see if you can get it to this much, like you squeeze everything out of it. And you see athletes that have all the potential that are so great, but their bodies break down before they're ready to finish. And so they have to retire early. Like poor, go ahead. No, I was going to say, like, you look at, unfortunately, like Alex Bunton, amazing athlete. She was just, unfortunately, just the way her body was always injured. Or was she taught the wrong things, though? Don't know. It could be a whole lot of everything, you know? I mean, I don't know. I always play the devil's advocate. Yeah. So I'm not saying she's been told wrong. Expert people here in Australia, just relax. Yeah. Just trying to make the most out of people. But it was holistic in the way that you look at it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, there's an epidemic of non-contact injuries, but yet we have the most science-backed fitness knowledge in history. So what are we missing here? I'm not saying I have all the solutions, but I found, there's, I'll probably keep growing. My programs always try and stay up to date, but there's something going on there. What do you think are like 3 key things to longevity? You've been playing basketball for a while. So 15, 16, you've been playing pro at least? You were 17? I started when I was... Can't remember. 16. 20? 16, I think. Okay, yeah, 29. I thought it was that young. Yeah, so, I mean, even though you're 30 and it's small, sorry, you're not 30 yet. I'm 29, don't rob me of a year. When's your birthday? April 1st. Wow, okay. Happy belated. Yeah, thanks for the... mine was 2 weeks ago, so where was your message? So, I'm now closer to 40. We're even? We call it truce? Did we call it truce? Shake. We're shaking. If you guys aren't watching the video version. Britt and my pretty much relationship. We are really close friends, but we will only catch up maybe once a year, and then but the catch up will be so in depth.
Like you said before we started recording, we get everything out. Like one good solid sesh, and be like, all right, see you in a year.
Yeah, I don't need you anymore.
Or like we might send a message back and forth, and like one of us won't reply. Usually it's me because I can be really bad at that. But
it's just like just checking sometimes.
Oh yeah, all the time.
In a funny way.
Yeah, usually it's like, oh God, I'm so tired. Oh yeah, me too.
That usually is. All right, hey, can you not shoot at this possession?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to go left. Can you just go to your right a little bit? So I just need to get like this one on the board.
Just pass it this time, because I swear, if you make another one in my face, I'm going to get benched. So if you could just help me out. That's our trash talking with love.
Pretty much. We're just trying to help each other out. We enable each other in the right ways, obviously. So I forget what the question was. But
longevity.
Oh, yeah.
You think it's going to last forever. Yeah. So what are some things that keep the game? You've been playing for a while. Even if it's not longevity, but what are things that you do to, reach your potential in the moment, but also help you really enjoy the game? And I think potential, enjoyment, keeping the game fresh, all these things go into longevity. So, what are some things that you think would be important if you have the desire to play for a long time? How are you going to keep the desire, the passion, the fun, and then how you're going to keep the body as strong as the mind, or the mind as strong as the body? You can take that wherever you want to go, but...
Yeah. I definitely agree with you in like being pain-free, like looking after your body in the right way, like doing those things that like, you need to do. It's like doing ISOs or like those, they're just tedious exercises. Yes. They're not hard. They just take time and they're boring. They're unflavored, boring ingredients that you need to do. I think that they're most important, because everyone wants to do like the exciting exercises that look good and everyone's doing, but they're not necessarily the best thing for you. Just doing the basic, boring, dry exercises, but that's going to give you that stability and that baseline.
It's learning to have fun with those. I've started to do that with like calf raises. Calf raises are so annoying, blah, blah, blah. But every time I go up, I'm thinking, because I actually practice dunking now. That sounds funny. And I put the hoop a bit lower and I have a smaller ball. But it's actually making me think about being equal jumpers on both legs. And if I'm ever caught in a situation in the game, it's kind of like, okay, well, I've been here before. And the dunking just makes it more fun.
You get a reward too.
Calf raises, it's kind of like every calf raise, every time I go up, I'm like, dunking, injury prevention, dunk, injury prevention, dunk. Thinking about something in the game every time as I do that. That sounds interesting, but it's kind of like even with split squats, it's like, injury prevention, safety, strong, powerful. And then on the way up, I'm thinking, exploding, first step, by my defender, game winner, whatever. But anyways.
I'm the same. The tedious stuff when I'm doing my calf raises, because I have to do so many ISOs, so many, like some days I'm like, no, I'm not doing it today. And then I think, I'm like, do you want to be in pain? Do you want to be the best? Do you want to be pain free? I literally say these things and then I'm like, okay, fine. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
And afterwards I feel great. I'm like, oh, then I can I feel good when I'm training. So that, I think this is a really big part of it, and something that I've found is we talk about with a certain people that I'm close to is having blossomers around you. So being in an environment where you've got people who are supporting you and they help you blossom. They encourage you, they make you confident, they make you better. They're not there for anything other than they care about you and want to see you grow type thing. And I found that in you, because like, you want to help people, but you don't want to help people to give you an advantage of some sort. Like, you genuinely care and want to help people. And so when I talk to you, like you would break down the game. You say things that would make me feel good, just because that's how you learn the game. You're like, oh, come work out. Like, we can work on this and this, because you're passionate about what you do. But you're not like, I want to work out, so then like I get this and this from it. Like, you just love it. So having people who are like passionate about what you do, but they like build your confidence in a different way, which makes you blossom. And then in return, like, you do that for them. And that's not just like with basketball, that's with everyday life. Like you're going to get the best out of yourself if you feel confident in what you're doing. And you get that from the people, and they say that you're a product of the 5 most people that you spend your time with. So if you're like in a team, you could be the best player in a team, but if you have coaches throughout your career that like, oh, I don't have the greatest confidence in you, you're going to play that way. But then you get a coach that gives you all the confidence in the world, and and you've got teammates around you that believe that too. You just see them go. So it doesn't matter whether it's sport, whether it's life, whether it's whatever. Just we talk about being blossomers, and it's usually, and like having people in your epicenter, who are your blossomers, and anyone else, they can come and go, but your main people are those blossomers, and you feel good. Like life's not a drag. You can talk to them, you can, everything's great. So I think being in the right environment, having the right people around you, and also you're like a product of your environment. So I like working out at a gym, but like, a gym that has other athletes in there. So when I went to the AIS, that was the best thing I ever did, because I was surrounded by world-class athletes, like Olympians, world champions from all different sports, all different ages, all different abilities, and everyone was there to be the best in the world, be the best in their sport. So you see them working hard. You're like, oh, well, there's no point in me coming in and doing a half-assed session. Like, look at them. They're so good. So it's, they're kind of blossomers in a different way, like outside of that epicenter.
And those I think may change, like according to what team you have.
Absolutely, yeah.
The blossomers
and in life
and whatever, it might change. Like I'm a traveler playing overseas, and you started to play overseas, some travel and change teams. It's kind of like you might have 1 or 2 that stay the same, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be the same. You don't want to latch on unhealthy relationships either. So being able to find those blossomers in there, I think is cool. I love that word too.
Yeah, I got that from a few of my coaches at the moment. And I just think it's so great, because it's just can encapsulate so many different areas of life. But and then it helps you mentally.
Yourself.
Pardon?
I was going to say, it teaches you to be the blossomer that other people need. Instead of always thinking, who's my blossomer and what can I get from people? It's then in turn being like, maybe I need to be the blossomer at the moment. Yeah. And then, or to someone else. You might still have yours. And then can I be a blossomer for someone else? Can I give someone be a source of belief for that person? Because sometimes it really just takes one person in your corner to give you belief, and all of a sudden something comes. So kind of Be Smart Basketball, I had this idea, and I kind of talked about it. I was thinking, how can I put in what am I going to kind of do everything that I've learned from the game of basketball? How can I extend that forever kind of thing? So it'll forever be on the internet, whether people do it or not, whatever. It's like, you're trying to put something tangible together into something that you've learned. And that's why I created with the website that you were on, the playbook. It has anything and everything, all the things we talk about in there. It's like the playbook is the story of kind of my career, but also what I've learned, also what I'm, kind of getting out. But my business partners, the Ludus, the Be Smart Basketball wouldn't have come to life without one of them believing and loving my idea and having the resources to be like, oh, okay, let's do this. Yeah. And so, having that, the blossomer is a product of your environment. So maybe one person believing you. Then now you have training partners. Your blossomers may be your training partners who are better than you. If you're the best person in the gym, you need to find a new gym, find a new court, find, whatever, once you get to that point, because you need people to push you. So you talked about getting, the tedious, boring things, making them applicable, and imagining, getting, that visualization, which I know you're going to start talking about that whole mental side of it. But as far as the tangibles, it's the blossomers, tedious stuff, training partners that are better than you, that can push you. And then that leads into mentality and mindset, which you can keep going with that. I interrupted before.
Yeah, no. I think mindset's been a big thing. It's still something that I'm not a master of my mind, but I've learned probably over the last 6-7 years that it's been the biggest part of my game that I've had to change. And it's not just in basketball, but in life as well. I've been learning a lot about myself in that, and things that have come from childhood and things I've carried over, insecurities, so I've been working with a sports psych and a regular psych, and just recently this year. I actually changed my psychologist just because my life circumstances had changed, and I had my agent and my partner and a few other people say, maybe you just need a fresh set of eyes, because I explained to them, like, as much as the work that I've done, I just went through periods of time where I was like, I'd feel a certain way that it's like I'd never done any work on my mind before. Like I just would crash. And, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be 100 all the time. But I was like, there's still something that's missing. Like, and I'm my own biggest enemy in terms of, my confidence. And then that's been what I've had to work on. But just changing, recently, it's because I know everything. And this is what I explained to my psych. I was like, I've been working with a psych for ages. I work with sports psych, and I've studied exercise sports science and did a bit of psychology in it. So I'm like, I know everything that I'm supposed to be doing. Like self-talk, visualization, do this when you're feeling this way, talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend. And, it's much easier to tell someone else that. And I feel like I know everything. But when it comes to applying it, I can't most of the time. Like if I start to feel a certain way. And one thing that I've learned in probably a few months with this new site is I've got the intellectual ability to be able to do all that, but I don't have the emotional side. I've never worked on the emotional side, and that's something I'm like, I'm mind blown. Like it makes sense. So it's coming back to like an inner child something. It just goes so deep. So that's been the biggest change. But probably in COVID last year, I felt with all the work that I've been doing previously, I just got to a different point mentally where I was just like, you know what? I've got to start asking for things. If I want things to be done, just ask. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, or like this might not happen. I got a new agent that's helped me do this stuff. I, went through some personal relationship stuff that helped with that, but now I'm, with a new partner. Like it's just who owns who she is, owns what she does, encourages me to do the same thing in different areas of my life as well. So it's like, a blossomer in its own way. Like there's just so many different things. But as much as I do a lot of work on it, I struggle at times. Like it's been the biggest thing for me as well. But
is there something tangible that you do? So, as far as, being able to be a master of your own mind, it is changing environment, which, might be going to the new team, changing sports psych, changing your agent. Changing partners, all those things. Is there something tangible as far as a habit now that you do every day? Because you have kind of all those bigger things ticked off, and the fact of what used to always work may not always work anymore. Just like a diet, like something that worked for me for 10 years, it started not to work. I started to feel worse. Your body changes, you evolve. It's the same thing with basketball strategy. You used to play this way. It changes. You have to evolve. It's not that thing's bad now and it needs to be demonized, that you did something that helped you for a short time. But if you don't ever change or evolve, and we're evolving beings, then you're going to be stuck in the past, or you're going to have some issues. So, I think you talked about Turkey and stuff, but also those four things with the agent, the partner, the WNBL change. Yeah. Are there anything now that are tangible? I know you go through the sports psych and stuff, but anything that you do every day, or is it are you mindfulness just within your daily?
Being more mindful of being more mindful, like doing more, like I'm making a conscious effort to make sure I'm doing meditation. And I say
what kind of meditation do you do?
Well, I'm using the Headspace app at the moment. Okay. So I like guided meditation because it just helps me focus more in. I obviously do some hypnotherapy with my sports psych. But I prefer the guided meditation because my mind's so busy. It just allows me to focus more on staying back in it. And as much as I'm like, I'm going to do it every day, I'm like, for me right now, it's just like, it's not that simple. So even though it's like, you can do 5 minutes, I have to do it at least 2 times a week, at least. Okay. But then, so it's mainly meditation and then going back to surrounding myself with blossomers and talking about stuff with that, and just, doing little bits and pieces. I've got a gratitude journal that I write. Okay. Things. Yeah. which I could be more
that's
more
definitely
consistent with.
I used to journal for I journaled for like 6 or 7 years straight, like hardly ever missed a day.
Yeah.
And they were so important to me in that moment. And I went back and visited home and I threw them all away.
Yeah, it's just things change.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing throwing all your journal? But sometimes for me it was, that's in the past, that's something, this is just my story. Like that's in the past. I don't necessarily need that, but I need that in the moment. That's how I kind of do it. And then my thing now is I do a lot of reverse work, like reverse sled, reverse hill, reverse whatever, because you have a quicker recovery, but you can still work on elasticity training with that in a constructive way rather than deconstruct your body, but always going forward and running forward. Yeah. So a lot of times my meditation is actually just walking backwards with my sled. Yep. And sometimes I'll think.
Just being mindful of what you're doing, how it feels.
Yeah. Being
conscious of what you're being in the present. So you don't have to sit down and do like 10 minutes of like, I can't think about any other thought. That's not how it works. Yes. I think that's why people get turned off about it. I could be sitting here and I like do a minute. What does my back feel like on the chair? Like everything, like what sounds can I hear? Like it's just coming back to, and I've been reading a little bit more. I've always been a terrible reader because like my mind's so busy and I get bored easily. But when I do read a book, it's good. And I'm reading The Mindful Athlete at the moment, which has only taken me about a year, but it doesn't matter. I go back to it.
One step at a time.
Exactly. But they're talking about, the past is gone and the present isn't even, sorry, not the present. The future hasn't even happened. The only thing that's happening is the present. So why would you want to live something that's not even happened? And why would you live in, like, right now, that moment's gone. That moment went, like, you can't ever get it back. And and what's crazy? I actually thought about this when I was like a kid. Like without knowing about meditation, I'd be sitting somewhere. I'm like, I'm never going to get that moment back ever. Or that one. Yeah. Like I'm never going to get it. Like it was just weird. So I thought about it back then. But anyway, we're going off topic a little bit, but they're probably the more stable things that I have. And I need to work out. Like just for mentally.
Well, yeah, that's why I do the sled. So I'm like, I'm getting better and I'm being mindful of the burn in my legs.
Yeah, because as much as you might hate it in the moment, like you feel so good afterwards. Like just the chemical changes, the hormones, you just feel good.
Well, and for me, it's not even that I have to go do a workout. I've already done that. But it's like, might as well, while I'm being mindful, I might as well do something that's still constructing my body or strengthening my knees or, so for those that are kind of like, they have to sit or, whatever, it doesn't necessarily, have to be, I guess, like that. So we talked a little bit about your WNBL change. We talked about your agent change, your new sports psych, all these blossomers and stuff. It's not that all the ones in the past were bad. It was just,
different.
You change
and
evolve.
Yeah.
You realize
life circumstances are different. Yeah. Mental's different.
And you've changed. Yeah, for sure. So you also have a new partner, which I know that it's same sex, and that can be pretty daunting for a lot of people at this day and age. So just tell us a little bit about your story, more of, not necessarily about, your partner, but just a little bit of that insecurity, like you said, some personal stuff that you kind of gone through. And we've talked about this off air a little bit, but it was just being comfortable in your own skin. And so maybe just talk about, not even just about the same sex, but maybe to hit a little bit about that. And maybe, a couple other things that kind of affected you, but you've overcome, I suppose.
Yeah, I think probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I just had this thought. I was, again, just in a shitty patch with myself and personal life, and just, I don't know, I just got to a point where I kind of realized just everything. I was like, oh my God, I'm my own problem. Like it's me. It's not like I'm not blaming anyone else anymore. It's like I finally realized. And that's like with anything. You can't realize something, and we can't change something until you realize it yourself.
Ownership. Like people play the blame game. I know that things happen to us, but if you don't take ownership of every single mistake that's happened in your life, whether it's your fault or not, like if you take ownership of that, you have control.
But is it a mistake or is it just a lesson?
Exactly.
You know, it's just again, everything happening for a reason, even though in the moment you're like, oh, it's a mistake or blah, blah, blah. When you look back in retrospect, you're like, oh my God, that happened because I was supposed to be here. Like everything happens in life to get to like where you are right now. Anyway, without being the Buddha or anything, but I think, I had that realization. I was like, oh my God, it's me. And then I just had these thoughts because I couldn't really figure out like who was I? What exactly did I want? Like that's just like with everything, like in my life, in my personal life, like I'm just so confused about everything. And I'm not saying now I have everything figured out, but I just have the confidence to be able to be like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. But it was kind of like I just had this moment. I was like, if I kind of figured out a little bit more what I wanted and just owned who I was a bit more, then I would be better at anything that I did. Like I'd be better on the court. Like, you know, if you see people in this relationship and they're happy and I see this person and they know what they want and they're happy, and maybe if I felt more comfortable with myself, it would like show on the court too. Like it was just this weird thought that I had. And then I met my partner. I'd been in some other relationships, but they've been kind of very hush-hush. Just either I wasn't okay with it because of personal reasons or whatever, or they weren't okay with it for the same things. I met Soph, and she just owns who she is. She owns what she does, her life choices, experiences, everything, and she's just amazing, and she's so confident in that sense that it's a blossomer. So I'm in an environment and with someone who makes me feel comfortable to be with her and be myself, and I've made her feel more comfortable and more confident of areas that she might not have liked about herself as much, and you know, vice versa. So you know, it works that way. But overall, like, she's just, I admire that she just owns who she is and what she does. And that's made me, along with my own work, be able to embrace who I am, because it is what it is. Yeah. This is who I am.
Was that as scary as you thought? Was it as scary as you thought it was going to be? Was the backlash as bad as you thought? Was it, you know, sometimes it's like you're finally yourself and you're like, oh, what was I so scared of?
No, not really. It was just more the internal battle with myself. Yep, and I've always had this thing that I've always been a people pleaser. And also something that I'm working out with my psych at the moment. That's come back from when I was younger, you know, from other things, not so much like, you know, whatever else. But overall, at the time, at certain times throughout my life, it's been bloody scary. But now it's just like, I'm with someone who owns themselves and makes me confident, and it's like people are going to have their opinions, and that's also the work that I've done, that to care a little bit less and just love myself a little bit more. That it's like, it's not as scary. At the end of the day, people are going to have their own opinion.
For sure, no matter what you do.
No matter what you do. They might like it, they might hate it. You might do nothing wrong in your life. Someone's still not going to like it.
Yeah, for sure.
So being more okay with that.
You know, with all these things that you've kind of set in place, you know, to kind of take, I guess, ownership in the direction that you want your life to go and stuff, you know, changing those environments and the people and habits. What's your purpose in life? What's your purpose in a holistic view, as far as, you know, what our main overriding purpose of living or doing what you do, the holistic part of it, why you play basketball, all these things. You know, what's your purpose in life, and what are your goals as well, like tangible goals on and off the court, or in, you know, strength and conditioning career and stuff, kind of like, what's your purpose, deep or not deep?
I believe that I was kind of put on this earth to help people. I get so much pleasure and like happiness from making someone smile or someone laugh, or, you know, making their day in some way. And I think that's also why I, you know, have a good personality and like humor and stuff, because that's a way that I can make people laugh. And I've been through some things in my life, personal, basketball, that like I've just been at really, really dark places. I've been in and out of depression for years and years. As I said, some days I'm great, some days I'm not, and that's what I've talked to, my psychs about, and I've sorted that out and, got help with that. And I think also from being through those things, I never ever want anyone to feel the way that I had, like I felt throughout my life, especially in the worst times. I just never ever want anyone to feel that. So I try to make people's lives happier and more enlightened and better by doing that. And obviously with, certain things I've been through, helping other people through that to show that, I've had lived experiences with anxiety, depression, eating disorders, like just a wide range of things that's so common, to be like, well, I'm still competing at the highest level. I'm still an everyday person, I'm still a human, who have been through these things. So kind of putting people on the same level, and knowing that you can get through those things. But I think the biggest thing is to, help people, whether that's a role model for sport or life. Yeah.
The platform that you have, obviously starting with basketball and stuff, and I think we're kind of in that same thing, is we have basketball, but we know it's more than just bouncing a ball. But wow, bouncing that ball has really given us a lot more, so it's like, how are we using that platform? And we'll segue into, like, I have my coaching business with Be Smart Basketball, and you have, is it Maddie Garrick coaching, I believe?
Yeah. Maddie Garrick coaching.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what's your goals with, how you're going to serve people? And this is what I think is so cool, is because we're both professional athletes, but both feel like we need to use our career to serve people, and we can do that in different ways, yet come together, not have to compete each other. So at some point we need to do a Garrick Smart kind of like clinic and camps together, or and really like just empower each other. So what's the goal with your overall purpose in life is to serve? How do you want to serve in the tangible ways? So with your coaching, what's the goal with your coaching and stuff?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me, and it wasn't until COVID last year that I again got around to doing it, because I just kind of put it to the side or on the back burner until then. But I had this idea probably 6 or 7 years ago that I wanted to go even just back to Shep, where I grew up, and do a basketball camp. Just as a country girl that's gone all over the world to play for Australia. This is how I got there. This is the things that worked for me, that didn't work for me, and just have fun doing it. And I think also doing camps that's not a selection camp. Like, I hated selection camps. I hated them. Or camps where you had to, like, be the best. It's just about having fun and learning stuff that we're not taught here. I learned stuff from coaches that are from different parts of the world. And just having fun doing it. So that's me helping people. That's me giving back. But then I also want to do it in this area as well, in Melbourne. So
So you're open to just different opportunities that might come up. It's not necessarily something that looks a certain way. It's just sort of, how can you help in the moment to a certain club, a certain person? I know you do a lot of some Zooms and things like that. Mine's probably a little bit more like an on the app and a instructional videos, form coaching, whatever. And then what about strength conditioning? Because I know that you got your degree in that. Is there anything that you want to add that you are going to coach in that, or is that just might be come with the territory of the basketball coaching? Or
sorry, can you just repeat that?
Did you fall asleep?
Yeah, no, I did. I got a little bit distracted.
Got a little bit tired there.
Got a little bit distracted. If I'm being honest.
Okay, you're benched, first of all.
Yeah, that's okay.
I know you did a lot of study in strength and conditioning. Do you want to be a coach in that, or would that just kind of be something that will be on the side of, doing some of your coaching and different things like that? How are you going to implement that? Or are you not sure yet?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe later down the track, like having a kind of all-encompassing kind of clinic stuff. I did my internship in strength and conditioning at Core Advantage, the gym we used to work out at. So there's definitely, I have an idea of where I want it to go and how it's going to look. But for now, I just want to focus on the basketball side of things. But I definitely want to do like the, a big thing. And again, everything that I've learned. So that's strength and conditioning, nutrition, mental, that. But how that looks for now, it's just in the very early stages of that. But
you're
with
still
coaching.
focusing on being an athlete first anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like that's still, your main focus and what has to take, priority so you can keep learning for your own game and keep taking more tools back to your coaching, when you do that during off seasons or, when you start doing, whenever you're done playing. So I guess I'll wrap up with one last question. Trying to be the master of your mind is kind of like what you talked about. Some days you are, some days you aren't, some moments you are, some moments you aren't. A big part about, the difference between a good player and a great player is the mindset and the mental toughness. And we talked a lot about that, off the court. But on the court, is there anything that you do, whether that's breathing? Say I would take a breath. Do you take a breath at the free throw line? Things start to escalate in a game, and it is all how do you handle pressure? Are you good just in training, or are you good? There's different levels of pressure. It's just training by yourself, training with a partner. Film's on. They're videoing training. Some scouts are watching. Full stadium, championship pressure on the free throw line with it. There's so many, and it may come down to kind of like what you said, pressure because you don't play. And all of a sudden you are in for 2 minutes and the pressure to make your mark. So, there may not be, there's not one universal answer, else we would all be at the elite.
Or doing it,
How do you stay grounded or mindful as best as you can, in a game? There's certain moments, certain things you write down that you can see. What do you have any tangibles to help some of the hoopers out there who get really nervous?
Yeah, probably 2 years ago, I really fell into meditation before games. And being in a co-captain role with Kayla George for the last 2 years, we actually, I thought it would be a good idea to incorporate it in our pre-game routine that we did. So we have our team huddles, our team talk beforehand. Then we ask the coaches and stuff to leave. And it was like just a minute and a half of meditation, whether that's you do breathing, whether it's visualization, like it's just your time to get into the zone and practice positive energy and mindset before a game. So, but even on the way to a game, I would get on my phone. I was using the car map at that time. I'm now back to the Headspace, just changing it up a little bit. And do, obviously not when I'm driving, but
that's right, safety first.
Yeah, safety first, don't meditate. I mean, you can do mindful driving if you like. The tires feel really nice on the road right now.
Driving is good. You can really think about things as long as your eyes stay on the road.
Yeah. I started particularly away games to do depending on how far away we were, 5 to 10 minutes of meditation in the car, breathing, and then the minute and a half before games. And then during games when I'm feeling a bit tense or it's a high pressure situation or whatever, or I just need to calm down, I actually take breaths, in a timeout. You can see me just go, just really try to focus and try to let out that tension. And before I shoot a free throw, you will also see me as well, just to, just trying to breathing, but just different, positive talk as well. But I think just coming back to the mindset and instead of focusing on, I've got to make this shot, it's okay, what can I control in a game? Rebounding, hustle, talk, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You can only control what you can control. So focus on that.
You have to be okay with things not going your way or how you thought it was going to go or how you visualized. Not be satisfied and not be okay with it, but you have to understand that's the risk of playing sport and that's what makes it fun. It's kind of you might have done everything. You might even thought you hit the game winner, but someone else is thinking and prepared the same way, especially when you're at the elite level.
Yeah.
So, it's that certain point of you always visualize to win and you train to win and you expect yourself to win. If there's doubt that you're going to lose, you will lose, but both teams and everything are, doing that. And that's kind of understanding the bigger picture of competition and environment and sport and play and, all those things. But you can still go away whether the game went your way or not, knowing that you did what you could in that time, to at least give yourself the best possible opportunity to finish on top.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, hey, I think that sums it up. I think we really hit everything. Actually, there's probably way more that we could really talk about.
Absolutely.
We actually didn't go too much into the 3x3. I know. Can you just give me a quick summary? I know I don't want to bring up sore spots and some annoyances, but I know you guys didn't quite qualify for the Olympics, but great experience doing that. But what's your final kind of like good and bad thoughts about that, and what's that drive, or what's it left? What kind of focus has it left you in for this upcoming WNBL season and the next time?
Yeah. Obviously there's that hurt, so we just sent that desire to be better and like just make it next time. We honestly did everything that we could with the opportunities and situations that we were given. We hadn't played together for 2 years. Like we talked about when we got there, not making excuses, like not finishing the tournament and be like, oh, we could have done this if, we had this, and this. And like, there's reality and then there's excuses. But, not playing together for 2 years and coming up against a team that was more well polished than we were, just from playing together a little bit more, definitely showed in that last bit. So, it's disappointing, but given everything, we fought in that last game. We just came up short, and that's elite sport for you. So Com Games is next year, and that's what we'll look towards, and then we'll try for, Olympics after that. But definitely sucks, but that's it.
Oh, it's a bummer. I mean, we talked a little bit about 3x3. It's almost a completely different sport than 5-on-5, different strategy, different time limits, different restraints and constraints, because there's only, 6 people out there, and you're only playing half court, 12-second shot clock, first game to a certain point. Is it 21?
21 or 10 minutes.
Or 10 minutes, and who's up by then. So it's definitely totally different, and that kind of,
sorry, different,
makes it really exciting and quite intense, but just another way to develop your game as well, when you do come to the WNBL season and all that. But you have to teach me some of your tricks and stuff. But once you're out of quarantine, I think you have another week or so, if I'm not right.
Yes,
right,
under a week.
Like we'll have to get some sessions in and do some Smerrick basketball. Smerrick is a mix of Smart and Garrick. We came up with this original name ourselves about 6 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
So Smerrick basketball session coming up. Don't forget my pencil challenge.
Oh yeah, right. I got a pencil right here. I do. I don't want to cut you off or anything.
I wish you could move the camera.
No, I'm not warmed up yet. I do have to go for a coaching session, actually, believe it or not.
That's fine.
So I'm gonna.
I'll catch you later, and I'll contact you, and we'll catch up when you're free.
On a scale of 1 to Allen Iverson, how much time do you have in your life for practice? The Ludus provides fast-paced, short-burst online sports video clinics featuring elite athletes and coaches backed by sports psychologists. Watch the videos, download the workbooks, learn from the best. The Ludus, where you're only ever 2 clicks from improving your game. Head to theludus.co today and start watching free.